Speaking of things that are happening in a snap, we have the amazing Snowball SMB showing us new Pokemon Snap Durice Island High Score Showcase. Snowball, show us how it's done.
Alright, hello everyone, my name is Snowball, and today I will be showing off the high course scores for all 4 stages of Durice Island in New Pokemon Snap. Durice Island being the 4th full island. I don't know if you can count this area an island because it's the ocean, but 5th area. It's got a lot of ice-type Pokemon, a lot of really cool variety of Pokemon in the caves, and also a Steelix, which is one of my favorites. So I'm gonna give a quick countdown, and then we'll be off with the first stage, Snowfield Day. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So New Pokemon Snap, after you beat the main story of the game, you unlock course scores. Pretty much the way these work is you have 72 photos on every attempt of a stage. Your course score is tallied up by each photo's score multiplied by the number of different species of Pokemon that you took on that attempt of a stage, and then all added up. Fun fact about Snowfields, Snowfields at night actually has the highest amount of Pokemon species on it of any stage, so that is a cool little thing for this showcase. Gonna get a picture of that. Alright. And then move on over to the second area of the snowfields. I like to break the snowfields up in my head into 4 different sort of sections. This second section is much more hectic at night, as there are drastically more Pokemon to take pictures of. But you have a few different tools in your arsenal to get various interactions with Pokemon to happen. There's the scan, which I'm doing to just make sure that I can see the Frostmoth properly. There are these Illumina orbs that I'm throwing to get the Sandslash to pop out. There are Fluff Fruit. They look a lot like apples, but I'm told by the in-game professor that they are lighter than apples, which, I mean, makes sense given how many you can just throw. And there's also, you can play a little tune. We actually do use the tune on the next stage, I believe. One thing with the scan is you can find alternate paths, and actually the Snowfields takes 2 alternate paths for the optimal route. Now we're moving on into the 3rd area. That's actually really good Frostlass, which is rare for me. That picture's really tough. And now this is the reset point of Snowfields Day, so let's hope that this goes right. Glalie. Please. Thank you. Get a picture, throw an orb, and then switch. So there are 4 different settings for how many pictures you take per input. There's 1, there's 3, there's 4, and there is 6. And sometimes I will be doing bursts of 6 like with that Avalugg, because that's a very high point photo. And now I'm going to be taking 4 bursts of this Barrack-Tick. Well, 6 bursts, I should say. And then I've got my little notebook with all my notes for the route. Next up is Spheal, which is just rolling around over here. That picture. Orb. And scan Piplup repeatedly until it sort of stands up more. Hey Piplup, thank you. Take the picture, flip the camera behind, and I missed the dugong. I did not, wait. Backup strat, get the dugong on the Avalugg. I didn't actually know that dugong was there. That's gonna lose probably 2,500 points or so on the dugong picture, But that is not as big of a deal as being able to save the number of species for the multiplier. 6 burst of Crabominable. Now, this is the other really important thing about hitting Glalie, or getting Glalie to go over and bite the Avalug's tail. Are you kidding me, Vanillix? Why did you have to turn around? It scares... When Avalug lets out that roar, it scares the Vanillix out of the cave, and it goes into that hole at the end of the stage, which lines up that Illumina Orb into Frost Breath interaction that is usually a lot more points than I did get that time, because Vanillix decided to, like, whip around really quickly because that fluff fruit looked apparently delicious. I didn't actually know that that Vanillix could go after the fluff fruit there, so, when you're out in the field doing Pokemon research, you learn something new every day. But now, just having all of the photos evaluated, there's points categories for pose, size, direction, placement, other Pokemon, and background. And there's not too many instances, actually, of, like, a ton of points from the other Pokemon one. Okay, that was a good set of Avalugs. I'm a little bit saddened about the whole Dugong situation right now. But, yeah, that lost... Okay, that did not lose even close to as much as I thought, but it still was a little bit of an oof. That lost quite a bit, because normally the Vanillix is facing towards you, so the direction category is worth a lot more points. But... 6.5 million. Still very, very good.
Goodness gracious. So unlike with normal scoring, it is looking at every single picture you take, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you're doing the 6 bursts on the higher value Pokemon. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that is also the main reason of why this stage is very, very frightening to me. This is the Snowfields Night course.
Is it because it's dark? Are you afraid of the dark?
No. This is the exact same, like, sort of path as the Snowfields Day. When we get to that lake section at the end, I'm going to do a series of things to get Suicune to spawn. And I will have to hit Suicune with an Illumina Orb as it's running across the river. Can you please stop trying to eat Santa Claus, my Deanna? And if I miss Suicune with the Illumina Orb, then I'm going to have to reset pretty much at the end of the stage, which would not be very good. The Sand Slash. I need you to move, my Deanna, please. Thank you. Because there's a Snorunt in there. And then Orb. That might have been too late. Did Braviary just leave? Yep. Alright, that's a reset. If you get too far ahead, then that Mightyena by the igloo will block the first fluff fruit to open the door to get the picture of the Snorunt, and if that happens, then you're in a bit of a time crunch because of needing to get that Snorunt picture and then orb the Sand Slash before Braviary flies by. So now I'm going to spin around, orb Sand Slash, get a picture, open the door, grab Snorunt, orb Sand Slash, Braviary should show up right there. And already you can kind of get the sense that this is a much more hectic iteration of this sort of stage than the daytime one was. This area is a huge example of that because we only got 4 different species of Pokemon during the day. There's going to be a lot more here. We got Crabominable, Abomasnow. Look over here, Frostlass is going to spawn. Grab that picture. Fluff Fruit Frostmoth off of the tree. Look over here and wake up this Crabominable. Look up to the cliff and orb Glaceon, hopefully. Got that. Abominable's gonna punch the tree to get snobs to fall out. And then Turret and Weavile are going to run by, and now we are going to take the alternate path. So, the cave is actually a lot kinder because I don't have to worry about Glalie. This picture is actually surprisingly high point. Jinx blowing a kiss to the tune of the little recorder programmed into the camera is, ideally speaking, close to like a 5,000 point picture. Grab Vivian, grab Cubchoo, and now this is where the stage gets pretty intense because I need to orb this Jinx. That's going to make the Jinx summon the Aurora Borealis, which is going to summon Suicune. Barrack, and then throw the Fluff Fruit into this pond, hopefully. There we go. Grab Magikarp. Turn this way. And now Suicune should be running across the lake. I have to hit this Illumina Orb. Good. Grab Mamoswine. And now switch to bursts of 6 to grab 18 Suicunes. Switch back to 1 to grab the Swinub back here. And now here is Suicune's 4-star picture coming up here. Hit the Illumina Orb and it will use... I don't know if this is like Aurora Veil or what it's using. Also, I really hope that the camera did not lock onto the Swinub in the background, because that sometimes happens. The game will just randomly decide that your picture is actually of a Pokemon in the background and not the main thing. I was playing through the Elsewhere Forest stage the other night, and I was very clearly taking pictures of the Serperior that's there, but the game was like, nah, these are Drampa pictures. Auroras, would you like to eat some fruit, please? Thank you. And grab that picture, and I didn't actually know Suicune ran back. Okay, I'm learning things about these stages, even though I've played these stages, like, a lot. I need to flip the pages so that way I can get the notes up for Outaway Cave, because Outaway Cave is, once I get pretty much halfway through, Outaway Cave, I don't really need to worry about a risk of, like, having to reset a stage, like, a decent portion of the way in. I'm almost certainly going to have to reset the last stage a few times right at the start because Noibat hates me. But that is something we can worry about in, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes.
You talked about learning new things about the level, and that's one of the things that I've always really loved about the Pokemon Snap games, both this one and the original N64 games, is that it feels like there's so much happening that it's nearly impossible to know absolutely everything that's happening in the level.
Yeah, that is definitely very true. I just love the vibe of these Snap games of, like, getting to see all of the Pokemon in their natural environments and how they interact with so many different things. It's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Is it okay if I pop in here, though, with a quick reminder for folks watching?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we are just $30 away from hitting that Mort the Chicken cutscene % incentive for the upcoming run by Ricolt for Mort the Chicken. It's going to be so wild. You want to see these cutscenes. It's only $30 Canadian, and you may be thinking to yourself, well, $30, you know, that might be a lot of money. But you don't have to do the whole $30 in one go. You can donate $5, $10. The minimum is $1 Canadian, and keep in mind the exchange rate may be in your favor. So Prevent-A-Thon 5 is in support of Little Warriors, which is a Canadian-based charity. Because we process your donations in Canadian dollars, your donations will automatically be converted for you if you live in a different country. So to see a recent exchange rate for US dollars and British pounds, you can type in !rate, R-A-T-E, in chat right now and learn how that exchange rate might be affecting you.
Alright, we are into the cave. There's a decent amount of stuff that I need to keep track of because there are 4 Pumpkaboos on the way to the end of the stage that I have to be hitting with Illumina Orbs to make the final Pumpkaboo that spawns be a supersized Pumpkaboo. We want the supersized Pumpkaboo to show up just because supersized Pumpkaboo is a little bit chunkier, which means it's taking up more of the photo space. Grab Carbank, make Gengar peek out of its little portal, take 3 pictures. Now, this part can get a little bit dicey. Let's see. I need to bonk this Hydreigon with 2 Fluff Fruits, and then it'll yell at me. There we go. There's a Pumpkaboo up here. Braviary's up next. So, fun fact. This area of the cave with this, like, big skylight, there's a Barrack up here. I didn't know that for a really long time. And, it made me very confused as to, like, where I was losing several 100,000 points compared to other players that were on the leaderboard. Because, fun fact, this game does have in-game leaderboards for your total Photodex, scores, and also your course scores and total course scores, which is really cool. 6 Clefairy pictures, because that Clefairy is actually really high point. Okay, there we go. Got the route change. The route change can be very cruel on the timing, so we should be in the clear now. Yeah, I found out that where I was losing so many points was to not having as many Pokemon species as other high-ranking players, because I didn't know that Barrack was on this stage at all. Last Pumpkaboo down here. Now we are going to be coming up to what is maybe my favorite mythical Pokemon in all of existence. We are coming up to Diancee's domain. To get her to spawn, I need to hit the 2 Carbanks down here and the Mawile with Illumina Orbs at the same time, and then she'll come bouncing out to see what all of the fuss is about. Now if we hit Diancee with an Illumina Orb, and she does a big sparkly burst of light and diamond dust and sparkles. I need to get down to 5 photos, as there are 5 more species of Pokemon to take pictures of, and we don't really need more than 1 for any of those. We've got Mawile, Sableye, Vivillon, Pumpkaboo, and Rampardos. Vivillon is, like, on pretty much every single stage in this game. Not every single stage, but, like, pretty much every single area. Like, there are Vivillons in the desert. There's Vivillon that shows up in the volcano for some reason. There are Vivillons at the beach. And speaking of Vivillons, there's Vivillons in this, like, underground jungle cave. I am going to hit this Pumpkaboo with an orb, so it'll do a little shimmy. The timing on that is so difficult to get right, and unfortunately I missed it slightly. It's moving so fast that it's really hard to get the picture when it's, like, turned towards the camera. And that unfortunately did not go in my favor this time. And that should be a pretty decent Rampardos, at least I hope. And going over to my Steelix Illumina spot notes, I love how the first thing I have written down is Orb 3 Terrible Noibats. I will get into why I call them the 3 Terrible Noibats in just a moment. because
So they're not Noibats, they're more Noibats?
yeah, pretty much. That definitely does check out with how these three behave. I think that's so dicey about the Clefairy, the burst of Clefairy photos, is ideally you want to wait a little bit longer than I did, but if you wait too long, there's pretty much no way you're going to get the route change because of how unforgiving the timing on the route change is. Okay, that was a really good Rampardos. I'll take that. So, new Pokemon Snap has 6 stages in the game that are called Illumina Spots. Also 6.6 million, I'm really happy with that in a marathon setting. Illumina Spots will have, like, one main Pokemon that is an Illumina Pokemon. And pretty much what that is it'll have, like, a fancy light up pattern on its body when you hit it with a certain number of Illumina orbs. And these are, I feel like, as close as you're gonna get in this game to, like, boss stages, pretty much. They're a bit shorter and have a decent amount fewer Pokemon species on them than most other stages. One... Very sad. So, I call these the three terrible Noibats because you have to light them up with Illumina orbs at the same time, so they're lit up all at the same time. And there is a timer after you hit them with the Illumina orb before that effect will wear off. And you have to hit all 3 so they're lit up at the same time to get Steelix to do a specific interaction at the end of the stage. Steelix is the resident Illumina Pokemon of this stage of Durice Island as a whole. I wish that these Noibats weren't here. This is like the reset point of the run, and it's mostly because their movements are completely RNG, and they will just fly completely behind geological structures in this cave, and there is nothing you can do about it. But we'll get there eventually. That's 2. I really don't like you, Noibat. Thank you. Okay, that looks like that's good. I'm going to turn around, throw a Fluff Fruit in that tunnel specifically. That'll get Steelix to pop up here. Hit it with 1 orb, and then Steelix will be coming out of this hole in the ground. Now we get to see the Illumina effect in full. Take 1 picture, and then get ready to take a 6 burst and a 3 burst, while Steelix does a big roar for a 4-star photo. And unfortunately, I hit the button for the 3 burst a little too early and didn't get it while it was still roaring, so that's going to be a bit of a point loss. This stage is one of the most optimized in terms of what record is. This is also I believe the only stage where I currently have top 10 on the worldwide board in-game for the score. I like to think how much I played this game early on in its lifetime, because if I was like just getting into it now, I don't think these Noibats would allow me to stay on this stage for too long. These Noibats really annoy me. But here's a cooler bat, in my opinion, Crobat. I do like Noibat from a design standpoint, but Crobat will probably always be my favorite bat Pokemon, as that was my first shiny that I caught in any game. So I do have a soft spot for Crobat, and I'm very happy that Crobat shows up on 2 of these stages. But now we're coming up to 57 photos of Steelix, because now Steelix is going to pop out of the hole in the ground and then go to sleep. How you can tell that you got the Noibats lit up with the orbs successfully is that Noibat that wanders out of that side passage, that Noibat doesn't wander out of that passage if you didn't get it right. So now I need to do 3 single photos while Noibat flies by and Steelix looks happy. There we go. That last one looks really good for points. Let's see. Is Steelix gonna do a funny glitch? No, it's not. Every once in a while, right before Steelix jumps down that hole, it'll just, like, teleport back into, like, the middle of the pathway and just jump straight through the floor. I don't know why it does that. Okay. Joltik just did that animation, so I need to get up here in case... Of course it does that. The Joltik is very RNG dependent. Sometimes it'll do that animation where it sort of is, like, scratching its face. Other times it'll, like, look around, and you want it to do the look around animation because it looks directly at the camera for, like, a 4,800 point photo. Also, another reason why I don't like Noibat in this game is because of this photo right here. That's really hard to get optimally, and now Sableye. There we go. Time is going to be when my score, my full course score shows up on the screen. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get a 2.4 million, but I might have to settle for a high 2.3, which is still very, very good, but
Speaking of big numbers, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we just hit $800 raised for Little Warriors. Chat, let's pop off. You did that.
Let's go. Oh, I'm not loving the points on that Joltik photo. I am loving the points on that Sableye, though. 1 point off my Sableye PB for that star level. And here comes time. 2.408. That is... I don't know exactly, but that might be a top 25 global score.
Nice.
So I'm very, very pleased with how that stage went. The Noibats were a little bit feisty at the beginning, but we got there eventually.
Snowball, that was amazing. Where can the people find you?
They can find me over on Twitch, YouTube, and Blue Sky, all at Snowball SMB. The SMB, of course, standing for, or being short for Super Monkey Ball, because that is one of the games that I like to play the most. And yeah, shoutouts to Prevent-A-Thon for letting me show off one of many, many very, very cool locations in this game. I could not recommend this game enough to, like, any Pokemon fans who are looking for a fun little spin-off to give a try. This game is so super cool, and I am very grateful that I got the opportunity to show it off. So thank you so much, Prevent-A-Thon.
Thank you, Snowball.